Hi, I don't really know how to start this, so I guess I'll say hello. I am Morrow, Tiefling, Pisces, love walks on the beach. I am an experiment. This whole thing is an experiment. See, I really like the channels that do the RPG horror story stuff, and it kind of inspired me to try it. Okay, listen, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, alright? I am a little nervous, alright? I've never done this before. This is all brand new to me. Today, we're gonna check out some RPG horror stories and read some of the ones that I found that are, well, a little terrifying. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to the first post. I DM'd for a horny bard, and it was terrible. I DM'd once for a horny bard that just wouldn't quit, and it wasn't fun for me. Instead of writing some long post detailing the entire length of my short and grueling campaign, I'm just gonna talk about what made the whole length of the campaign awkward. Verity, the Tiefling Bard. The party midway through the campaign shocked me by joining up with my BBEG, which was totally awesome by the way. However, to prove themselves to the big bad, they needed to do a job for him. They needed to track down a band of troublesome defectors and kill them all. You know, the usual kill quest. However, the BBEG didn't entirely have reasons to trust the party yet, so he assigned his lieutenant, a Gnoll barbarian, to assist and keep tabs on the party. The bard was instantly attracted to the Gnoll like you would not believe. Despite her character being married and a mother, and the player's real-life husband playing the party's paladin, Verity wanted to bang this Gnoll. No, she needed to bang this Gnoll. This would be the player's priority until the campaign ends. Okay, can I just say, I love lewds, right? Succubi ladies, succubi girls, that hot, whether it be anime or cosplay or whatever, right? But my whole life has nothing to do with everything being about the lewd and the horny. There's more to life than just that. It's fine to toe the fine line of lewdness, making jokes and having a little bit of fun. But it's like with anything, too much of anything is way too much, and you gotta get on people's nerves. Anyway, let's see this disaster. The bard was making move after move in the Gnoll every chance she had. It would not stop. The very plot of this campaign was lost to Verity. The party was stranded on a cursed island of GTFO and no longer mattered to her because they were stranded together. Possibly forever. Which was bad. For me, at least. I wanted the campaign stakes to be high, but I'm the DM. The stakes shouldn't be weighted against me like this. Eventually the party finds the defector and combat begins. Things went horribly, and if it hadn't been for the Gnoll tanking hits for the party, it would look like a TPK. The sorcerer died and was eaten alive by a giant hyena. To make the combat easier with the hopes of avoiding the imminent TPK, I had two of the defectors flee from the combat. But what was going to save the party was the other two players agreeing to retreat. Good idea. What went wrong though? The bard wanted to dash to the far end of the room and loot the 3 chests I had described. You know, the exact opposite of retreating. Here's the literal definition of the word retreat. Copy-paste that if you were wondering. An act of moving back or withdrawing. There it is. And wouldn't you know it, the bard picks the middle chest. The middle chest was a mimic I'd put there to surprise the party after the fight. The time you should be looting, not before. I sigh. I pause for a moment, then describe the chest baring teeth and biting down on the bard's forearm, with only 2 hit points remaining. Luckily though, the combined effort of the Gnoll and Paladin, they were able to separate the two, and the bard succeeded on her death saves. I described one of the Gnoll defectors mounting one of the giant hyenas and whoa, stop, I hear. Mount, as in mount a horse. Or summon you mount in an MMORPG. This is what any normal person would think when you say mount. My players thought I was describing an open sex act. You couldn't tell by this? My players aren't normal people. Mount. Sorry. I'm gonna go on. After clearing this up, this shouldn't have been a thing, I described that enemy Gnoll riding away. This is a retreat. This needs to be said. Fortunately, the Paladin and Gnoll were able to knock him off his mount and finish the job. Afterwards, the party looted the room and somehow lost a magic item. Yes, this is what happened. The Paladin opened chest number 1 and cast Detect Magic. I tell him the chest contained rusted -1 weapons that looked like they weren't going to help him. The Paladin opens chest number 3, and it contains a few gold pieces, rubies, and a good-looking bag. The Paladin ignores this loot because he doesn't want to haul it all. The party had just passed up a ruby and a war mage and a bag of holding, which could be used to hold everything. The party leaves the body of the sorcerer, and he had the paladin's magic sword, and it's still there to this day. When the party leaves the building, the paladin tries to carry the bard, but rolls low, so the Gnoll barbarian carries her. "I'll wake up and passionately kiss him," says the bard. "You're unconscious for a few hours," I respond. Next session, the bard nearly dies again. The sorcerer makes a deal with the devil and nearly kills himself again, and the job is done. I mean, their job for the big bad. Verity is still on a mission to get boned. Now you might be wondering, who is this mysterious Gnoll barbarian? Is he handsome? Is he gentle? Is he even romance material? No, none of the above. It is at this point that I have the bard roll insight on this barbarian to figure out his agenda. Nat freaking 20. He's a brutal killer that feels absolutely nothing towards you. He looks up to his boss and is here to make sure you don't lie about the completion of the job. Now you would think the power of the Nat 20 insight check would mean this information given to you is uncontestable, right? No, the bard player did not believe me. You heard that right. The bard did not believe what I, the DM, was telling her. I told her this was absolute. The ship has sunk. This was canon. And she didn't believe me. Good point on the DM, by the way, to just be very direct about this. To make sure to let them know that this is how things are, and to drop the DM card for a bit, to just tell them directly that nothing is going to happen. Fault on Verity here for making this impossibly painful for the DM. DM, I'm sorry. The worst part about the Gnoll was his name. What was his name? Bone. It was Bone. Bone. That was it. The bard wanted to bone. I got inspiration for the name from the Warrior Cat series. It's great. 10 out of 10 would recommend. But back on topic. Why did I pick Bone? Why? Now, the most important thing I have during the climax of this story is my relationship with the bard. Why was I so reluctant to just humor her? Why? Well, the paladin was my father, the sorcerer and problem player was my brother, and the bard was my mother. Oh. Well, I mean, mommy got a bone? Ugh, I feel weird just saying that. Okay. Yep, this whole time, this was a family campaign, and my mother wanted to get intimate with a fictional character played by me. Any normal person would try to shut this down. I tried. I'm the only normal person in the family of not so normal people. For better or worse, the campaign ended horribly and we were all angry at each other for some time. After 2 months for everyone to cool down, I asked my mother whatever happened to Verity. It's her character, right? She should decide. She said Verity bone, and they were together now. God freaking damn it. It's been at least 4 years, and I'm starting up a new Pathfinder campaign with my parents, grandparents, and without my brother, the horror story for another day. This time, there'll be absolutely no flirting with the DM when we return to the island. None. Not happening. And although this is a sequel campaign, Verity will not be returning. I don't care that she's probably still alive. She and her new sir are not appearing in this campaign. A horror story for another day. Ooh, you could tell us that story. I would love to read it. Anyway, that was interesting. On a topic of lewd humor, it's fine if like you have things like mount and bone, because let's be honest, it's kind of funny. Since it involves your family, it's a bit awkward. So I definitely can see why you did not want to do that. I wouldn't want to have that kind of conversation with my family. If they're still alive out there somewhere. If my mom tried to flirt with me when I'm trying to play an NPC in a campaign, I probably would feel really weird, honestly. So I feel ya. Right, let's see, maybe we could do one more. I think we got time for one more. The wizard that was literally insane and the NPC with the DM's name. I usually think back on my first campaign fondly. I remember the cute little moments between characters, the impressive builds people concocted, and dicking around with the members of the group in the voice chat between sessions. The DM was a sweet person and let us get down to some real hijinks, though also the supplier of one thing I absolutely hated about the game, their DMPC. The one I hated the most was the totally insane wizard known as Killian the Mad. Killian was described as a fantasy Elon Musk who has seen so many planes of reality that his mind has imploded. They were a collector of hundreds of bags of holding that contained anything they could possibly think of. He invented a bunch of real-world items such as refrigerators, soda, and hoverboards that travel to different dimensions when they sleep so you could appear in one-shots and they could break the fourth wall. Pretty much acted as our main quest giver and patron. He gave us our group name, assigned a leader, never failed to remind us how he was a little insane despite us never prompting him to do. Anytime we questioned him or acted annoyed by his actions, his response was to go on a tangent about how insane they were. Their actions weren't even particularly wacky or abnormal, just stakes killing and awkward. Some of the highlights include Killian giving our cleric a bag with hundreds of diamonds, so we have instant revivifies at level 5, Killian tagging along through a haunted mansion only to provide commentary and tell us if things get too hard, he'll fireball the room, an alternate version of Killian appearing in a pirate one-shot as a Hexblood druid, who then broke down on how he can never sleep with his wife when a character tried to have a sad moment for themselves. There was also a pair of twins that broke the party out of the prison cell during the first session, who decided to stay with us throughout the entire run of the campaign. They at least had somewhat interesting backstories, and certain party members actively cultivated a relationship with them, so when they butt in or inter-party roleplay, it wasn't too unnatural. But then he showed up. During the trip to a local festival of love, party was occasionally reminded that there was a mysterious cloaked figure with glowing red eyes that was either angrily muttering to themselves or at their shadow. The session naturally shifted into a downtime session, and this figure began to appear in all of our vignettes. You know, the one thing about DMPC is it's fine to have a DMPC, but if your DMPC takes the spotlight for the entire session and they're the most important part of the character or they're ruined sessions, like if you want to have one as a quest giver, I think that's fine, right? I don't think that's a problem to have a quest giver or somebody that's to assist them in a pinch or try to help them out in a limited way, giving players the most amount of agency and making a side character. But DMPC stories don't go like that. Most DMPC stories go with, hey, here's a very important character that is going to take up, the whole spotlight. Anyway, let's keep reading. The wizard is confronted by a drow that introduces themselves as T. This is a placeholder name due to the fact that this NPC shared the DM's actual name or nickname. And T is the I'm not gonna use initials for the same reason Deno the Drake doesn't use initials, so we're gonna go with Tim Tam. We're gonna go with Tim Tam. Yeah, Tim Tam. And Tim Tam is the brother of Wizard's girlfriend and wants to make sure that the wizard is a good person. Tim Tam then meets the cleric at a bar and says that she looks familiar. Turns out their souls are connected, and they knew each other before a cosmic event scrambled their minds. Tim Tam meets the sorcerer at the library, notices they are powerful and studious, and asks them if they can help them harness the power after some clunky roleplay. I met Tim Tam after they began talking about how me and my character were kin. I didn't take this positively and had my character rage. Tim Tam then absorbed the surge of wild magic and reprimanded my character for being so irresponsible. For some reason, this warlock, whose patron was the DM's homebrew concept, was connected to all of ours in some way. Like, you could have just made a DMPC that is somewhat interesting, has a tragic story, and just has a reason to tag along for a little bit, instead of having this weird quasi-connection, kin from the past, all that stuff. It's just weird. Mentor is kind of fine, but if you're connected to every single player character, then you kind of take away the agency for the player characters. No wonder the character raged. Good, I got the raged. They attempted to create this dynamic of Tim Tam being this experienced adventurer that we could learn from, despite the fact that we all played characters that have adventured before. We all avoided Tim Tam until they were added to our group by Killian for our next quest. This quest never happened due to the campaign falling apart due to scheduling conflict. And you know what? Maybe it's for the best. Though, I hate seeing campaigns just kind of fall apart because of scheduling, so if you can, reach out to the DM, talk to them, all of you collectively, and just tell them, hey listen, Killian was a killjoy, ha 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 ha. This other guy, Tim Tam, he's not somebody you want to deal with. We just don't want him around. Like, he probably have good intentions. The DM, most of the times DMs have good intentions when it comes to making the DMPCs, but you gotta tell them that this ain't it. Getting Tim Tam to fit with a group is like the same thing as trying to get Verity from the last story to fit with Bone. Or side of Bone. Or have Bones Bone be inside of her. I don't know. Listen, I don't want to think about it. Anyway, the point is, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna happen. Don't do it. It's a bad idea. And with that, well, that's all the stories I have for today. I'll be the first one to say that this is, well, new. And it's different and weird because I've never done this before. But I've seen so many videos of people doing these read-alongs, and I thought, hey, that actually looks kind of fun. Maybe I might want to try it myself one day. Finally got around to getting myself in this on here. It's a blue screen behind me. This is strange for me. It's a brand new road to explore, I suppose. But you know what? Screw it. Life is short. Do what you want to do. I guess I'll see you next video. Bye.